Good afternoon and welcome to January 20th, 2014, your first professional development on our new math program, Math Expressions. I wanted to start by giving you a brief idea of what our board presentation looked like. Myself, along with Jane Cowan and Laura Martin, presented the information to the Board of Education on December blah blah blah, and we first gave them a brief history of the K-5 pilot and review team. There were 20 teachers. They looked at 11 different programs and they chose 2 to pilot. They piloted 1 semester of investigations and then picked up the second semester with everyday math. Through their field testing and multiple meetings of pros and cons, they actually decided that neither one of those programs would be a best fit for Lake Orion Community Schools. They did have some positives: great pictorial representation, very hands-on, and broken into smaller units. However, they felt that there was very little application, moved very slowly, and didn't cycle, whereas everyday math did cycle. It just cycled very quickly. It had great games, but again, they didn't feel like either one of them had more pros and was the best fit. So it was decided that that same group of 20 teachers would choose 1 more pilot. So beginning this school year, for the first semester, they piloted Math Expressions. Math Expressions was used often for many years in Waterford and other districts around Michigan, but they were the first ones to come out with a 2014 Common Core edition. While other publishers are still scrambling to fit the needs of the Common Core, the other publishers won't have those ready for another year or 2. So these were the results of the Math Expressions. Again, we came together, we met. As you can see, there were many more pros than there were cons. It had multiple strategies like the other 2 programs. There were word problems they seemed to solve daily, differentiated instructions for different learners, had higher level thinking skills. Common Core standards are in depth, great online component with parent explanations, and the one con was that not many games to reinforce. However, as teachers are getting more into this program, they are finding the games are there, they're just embedded. So it was in November, the decision was that Math Expressions would be chosen for Lake Orion Community Schools, and moving forward we would begin using that starting second semester. So here we are, some program highlights. Hold on to your seats, there's a lot to see. First of all, we know that all of our learners are not at the same level, and this program has so many resources to differentiate in your classroom and at your fingertips. What you're looking at here is a page in every lesson that has 3 columns in it, and each column has cards that you can easily find. This card here in particular is for students who are still struggling, so this is an intervention card. It gives you an activity to do with them that goes right along with the lesson. It gives you some more prompting. It also gives you a way to get kids to write who are struggling. And then it also gives you a technology component for those learners at their level. The same thing is true for those who are on level and those who need a challenge. Again, these are very easy to find and at your fingertips. So those kids who sort of struggle, students who are pulled out for LSS, there is a tiered level instruction plan for those who are struggling. Tier 1 can be used within your classroom, and kids who are just having a rough time, there's some extra examples, there's some more activities. Tier 2 and Tier 3 are for those students who get pulled out for LSS, possibly for special education usage, and again it goes through some prerequisite skills that they may need for this grade level content, or it's going to scaffold the activity to meet the needs of those students who have IEPs. Again, those leveled learnings are also combined with online practice as well. Once we get into the online component, you can assign kids who are struggling at this level their own level on the computer to the game suited for them. So it's very connected for students at their levels and easy to maneuver. Another thing that Math Expressions is going to do throughout the program is it's going to begin this Math Talk community, allowing students to generate their own methods, be able to discuss it with others, and make sense of the structure all through some math talk. I have some questions that I'd like to give each teacher that makes an easy bookmark, questions to help kids facilitate their learning and understand what it is they're trying to communicate with others. So here's the first page of every lesson. And what you're going to notice here is that there is a lesson focus. That means that every day, if you wanted to write down on your board what the focus of the day was for mathematics, you have it right there. For example, this one is use a digit by digit method to divide. Then you're going to get a Common Core correlation. And what I love about this is that it actually is leading with the practices and then tells you the mathematical content of the core. So here's where their heart and soul is, and if we lead with the practices, we know we're going to get to the content. It also is going to give you the interactive tools. For example, this one has place value chips that on your interactive whiteboard you can be moving those chips around, and it also has an interactive whiteboard. So this just gives you a list of things you'll need: your student activity book, what pages, and then you will also be able to use the iTools in your lesson. It also gives you those digital resources down here at the bottom. So what you'll have here is if there's an interactive whiteboard lesson, you'll be able to click on this and it takes you right to the lesson for that day. And then these are your iTools, and then here are your digital games for students that are leveled based on intervention, on level, or challenge. The next page in the unit begins to describe the lesson, and you'll see that it will tell you how to group the kids. If this is the way you would like to do it, it suggests having small groups, and this could suggest a workshop model, or you could tailor it to your own needs in your classroom. And then it leads with that mathematical practice, and this one happens to be construct viable arguments and critique the reasoning of others. Because Puzzle Penguin is in every grade level and in every unit, you are teaching children how to diagnose the errors and fix them. And it even gives you questions you need to ask the kids, what you should expect them to say. Then the next activity talks the math talk, and again, how do we get that out of children? Here it says small groups. If you run through this the first time and you feel like that didn't work out, then you could run that as a whole group or a workshop model. Over here, it'll give you any ideas for kids who are struggling with special needs and differentiate instruction for them. This is still all in the same lesson. Not every lesson, but several lessons will have a formative assessment question in which you can ask them this question to check their understanding before moving on. This is a great way to see which children need this intervention, which children are on level, and which children need the challenge. And again, these are those cards that are very easily accessed, and it also here gives you that writing prompt, and then it also gives you the connection to the computer software. And the last page of the lesson has their homework and remembering pages. Their homework and remembering pages go along with the unit that they're working on and the lesson. So this is lesson Unit 7, Lesson 8, and this is their homework for the day. So it looks like this lesson was geometry, shapes, attributes, fractions, showing halves and fourths. But then this is their remembering page. So there's the spiral review that was evident in some of the other everyday math units. Here it is right here. And you will be receiving 1 year of the consumable, but after that, we'll see whether we use them in print or not. So, teacher digital resources and technology enhanced tools. So this is new for us since our last curriculum materials may not have had this technology with it. We're used to now things coming in digital form. So what you'll be able to access from anywhere is obviously your teacher's manual, and your teacher's manual will work almost like an iBook. If you choose, let's say we're on this lesson, and when I open this up again, I want to go right to that lesson, you're going to choose this bookmark. So again, that's just like using your Kindle if you're reading a book. Some other features it has is if you're working on this lesson and you click this button down here, it's going to take you right to the interactive whiteboard lesson that is for that particular lesson. So you're not going in and searching for it. It'll take you right there. Of course, there's a highlighting tool, and this is really cool right here. This is a notes tab, and what I was able to do is if I was teaching this lesson and I reflected on it afterwards and noticed, you know, this would have gone better as a station in a math workshop model, or any suggestions I may have for the next time I teach it, I just make a little note, and then I moved it right here, and that'll always stay on this page. So next time I come back to this page, I know that the following year I need to make some adjustments. Everything in the teacher's manual is printable. You can print from anywhere. It could be the teacher page. You could click on the student page and you can print that. There is everything at your fingertips. Something else that you will have access to from wherever you are at are many, many, many resources. Most of the ones that you have in print are also going to be available here online as well. So, for example, you have access to all PARCC test prep materials. Although Michigan is a state that's going with Smarter Balanced, most likely, we still have access to some of the PARCC questions. Now, PARCC is mainly multiple choice with a couple performance assessments thrown in, but we still have access to those questions. You also will have access, of course, to all your iTools and your interactive whiteboard lessons. You have access to all your RTI, Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 student and teacher guides. You have access to the student activity book and your teacher's guide. You will have access, and this is brand new and it's really great, it is a Smarter Balanced Assessment practice for students, and then there's a teacher's guide. This is a really great ad. They just added this in January, and it goes through all the different types of questions that children will be asked on the Smarter Balanced Assessment. It gives performance tasks and a beginning, a middle, and an end of the year example test. So I feel this is going to be a great resource for us going forward. They also have professional development videos, so as you're reading the math background, you could actually watch somebody demonstrate the math background either in a classroom or as a tutorial. Okay, so one more thing we're getting to is this flash drive. This flash drive contains everything you just saw, but then a couple other things. On the flash drive, you will have all of your possible assessments. On Think Central, the assessments weren't necessarily there in nice printable form. All the challenge questions on the challenge easels will be there. All your differentiation instruction cards will be there in a nice print form. Because although you can look at your teacher's guide online and you can click on it and print it, it doesn't look nice. It's sort of shrunken a little bit, and this is a nice printable format. Your homework and remembering can be printed from here. The ones you received that are packaged up will be for next year, and they do run the homework and remembering front to back. So if you wanted to use the remembering as morning work and the homework as homework, here's a way that you can print whatever it is that you need and in whatever combination. Here's all your RTI stuff that can be printed. Again, we can access that from online, but you can also have a thumb drive. And then your teacher resource book. The advantage of having the thumb drive is if you're somewhere that doesn't have internet access, you still would have access to all of your printable items. I wanted to share something about this program. Dr. Fuson is the author of the program, and I've gotten to listen to her a couple times, and what's great about it is she's actually a professor who did a lot of time and work in math education. This program was not produced by a publisher or a company. It actually was produced through lots and lots of research and someone who dedicated their life to math education. So 4th grade teacher Francie, hi, if you're out there, had a question about one of the methods in a 4th grade lesson. And the 4th grade lesson was 2-digit by 2-digit multiplication, and the traditional method, usually we put that 0 as a placeholder. And Francie had a question. In the book, it didn't show 0 as the placeholder. And she wanted to know, why doesn't the book refer to the method as the traditional algorithm for students? So I was able to get that question that Francie had to the representative, who then got that question right to Dr. Fuson. And Dr. Fuson wrote us back with a great response, saying, I agree with your reasoning above and had already decided to add the 0 in the ones place when multiplying by tens because it is better to show students a better version of this method. I also changed the name of the shortcut method to be more mathematical. These methods are now called one-row product method. This book does not call any of the methods the traditional algorithm because there is no such thing. And so on and so forth. So I thought it was great that we had a direct answer from the author, and we can continue to use that connection. I also wanted to share with you what we presented to the board in terms of how much this was going to cost. The student activity books for 6 years, that is a consumable. You will get a shipment every year for your new students for the next 6 years. I believe the shipment that was received this year, where they're bundled together, that is for next year. And we're working on any materials that may or may not have come properly. We get 1 year of homework and remembering consumable. Remember that may be better off if we print that ourselves, depending on how we want to use it. The manipulative kits, you'll see a couple grade levels not listed there. You'll see why on the next slide. Professional development, I have asked for the company to bring grade level specific people to professional development days so that we can start working on grade level specific content and instruction. I simply cannot be doing that. I want to do that as quickly as I can, and there's one of me and lots of you, so trying to get that more specific. And then of course getting the materials here. The reason there's a red line across that is because they had asked that I go back and negotiate some more with the company. I had already negotiated a couple times about this, but the Board of Education was in shock on the shipping. It was coming from Florida, and this also includes shipping for the next 6 years of the consumables. So the following day I was asked to reduce that even more, and I did call the company asking for a lower rate, and I did end up getting 5%, which saved another $10,000. So that total cost is not as accurate as it should be. It should be $10,000 less. So here's what they do. They throw in a bunch of free stuff. You'll see this is where the manipulative kits that didn't show up on the previous page get thrown in. All the online access was free of charge. All the teachers' edition stuff was free of charge. And all the volume 2s that you have received for the second half of the year were free of charge. Some of the homework and remembering, The whiteboards you received were 5 per student. That is because they will wear and tear quickly. So there are 5 per student, so as one gets messy or overused, you can replace it very easily, and they're very easy to store. The Destination Math is for the challenged students, and that was a 6-year license. That was a bonus. And there will be an e-learning course that we can take at our own time coming up in the end of January. Continued professional development. So today we're going to begin our professional development series on the Math Expressions materials. But as you can see, the plan of action for administrators, teachers, and parents. Like I said, there's an e-learning course on program overview that will be at the end of January, and I will let you know when that's coming. Partial use of new materials. That's what we're beginning today. I would like to visit some Math Expressions classrooms along with some teachers, maybe starting in February. And intense grade level training begins March 14th, just so happens to be Pi Day. Continued grade level planning support February through June, and again in August I already have some professional development planned to get you started in the fall. Along with teachers and administrators, there's also the parents who would need some updating. Program overview to elementary parents in March and April. Parent nights to be determined, one in the spring, one in the fall. Still working on by grade level, by grouping some elementaries together. Those details still need to be worked out. Parents will have access to almost as much as we have access to, so they would not be in the dark on anything. Parents will have access to the student activity book. They can print it from home. They also will be able to have a text-to-speech. While they're working on a student page, they can hit the horn or whatever icon that is, and it will speak to them. They will have access to the homework and remembering pages as well. They will have access to Mega Math, Sort of Success, Destination Math. Remember, those are the online games and activities that are all based on level. They will have access to an e-glossary, unit overviews, research and math background, and the family letters. So most of this is what's in your teacher's manual, and they will have access to that. The only thing really they don't have access to is the actual lessons. So going forward, that was about 3,227 students in Lake Orion Community Schools. So we're looking at updating the operating system for mathematics. 43% of our students will be updated as of now. Also, at the same board meeting, the middle school proposed their new math program. So when we added in those numbers, we were looking at about 73% of Lake Orion Community Schools. And then if you think about the high school, they adopted last year, second semester. So as of today, 100% of Lake Orion Community Schools have 2014 math updated materials. Here's where I think we're feeling a little overloaded. Like, that was a lot. I'm a little overwhelmed with all of the stuff. However, keep calm, breathe in, breathe out. Change is a process, not an event. So we're going to start slow. We are going to start with the math background and first lesson of marking period 3. What I would like you to do is